This clip is sponsored by Med Travelers. If you're an SLP interested in travel therapy, visit medtravelers.com to get started. I know that it used to be, and I'm assuming it's still the same, that limiting screens was a huge part of recovery. Is that still the case? And if so, how do you do that in this day and age when everything is on screens?
Great question. So yes and no. I would say initially that first 24 to 48 hour period, we are really trying to maximize rest, minimize screen use, and focus on just letting the body do that initial healing. After that, though, like many things, we've shifted away from saying don't do them, but to do them in moderation, and when to bring that awareness into when, for each individual, when you start to notice the symptoms arise, especially after you've hit what I call the 2 points. So it's if you go up if your symptoms increase by 2 points on a 0 to 10 scale, that's when we want to take the break. That's when we want to do something to change, so that we don't overdo it. But so after that initial period, screens are okay, but we want to monitor your own symptoms. And we also want to find ways to not overdo it. As you said, in the classrooms, I just was working with an individual whose whole school day is on screens. So we had to find ways to print out some of the notes, or work collaboratively with another classmate. So they're on the screen, but we're just talking and they do the typing, or they do what's on the screen. So finding creative ways to support the student in the classroom, I think is again part of our role in identifying what those accommodations could be in the classroom. And again, I'll just say, another reason why SLPs are so critical to the concussion management team is that we're not only highly knowledgeable about the brain and about cognition and communication, but we're also skilled in understanding how deficits in cognition and communication can impact a child's learning. And I think that's where our skill set helps us identify and adjust accommodations. So I'm such a big proponent of having the SLPs in the school join the concussion management team. And I love when I get to work with an SLP in the school so that we can both collaborate and share what we're seeing. And but I think all SLPs that are listening, that are in the schools, making sure you advocate for yourself and, let people know how important it is, how your knowledge does help, and how your training is perfect for supporting someone with a concussion, and highlighting how the cognitive components are key, right? To circle back to some of our earlier conversation, that concussions are not just about the physical symptoms, but there are a lot of cognitive symptoms in those 4 main categories that we had: physical, cognitive, emotional, and sleep. The cognitive piece is huge, and our knowledge of counseling and supporting individuals also supports that, the mental health piece. So again, I think that handout that I mentioned that's on my website is another way that we can explain to individuals in the schools and our teams why we should be involved, that this cognitive intolerance piece, which is a relatively new term that's coming out in the literature, highlighting the role of cognitive therapy and not overdoing it cognitively.